The sky over the outskirts of town cracked open with a blinding flash of lightning, followed by the low roar of thunder that shook the windows of the small cottage. Rain poured from the heavens like it had something to prove, drenching the earth in sheets of water. Lena pulled her coat tighter around her as she stepped off the porch, squinting into the storm. Something, or someone, was moving near the roadside. At first, it looked like a shadow slumped beside the curve in the road, where the trees broke just enough to reveal a stalled motorcycle. As Lena stepped closer, she saw him, a man soaked to the bone, one hand gripping the handlebar of the fallen bike, the other pressed to his side. He looked up, dazed, blood running in thin streams from a cut above his eyebrow. "Hey!" Lena shouted over the wind. "Are you okay?" The man flinched, tried to stand, and nearly collapsed. She reached him just in time to keep him from hitting the ground. "You need help," she said firmly. "Let me call an ambulance." "No." His voice was hoarse but urgent. "No hospital, I need to get to her." "To who?" He didn't answer. He just clutched something tightly in his fist. A wallet. Lena hesitated. Logic told her to let professionals handle it, but something about the desperation in his eyes, something about the storm, the way it had brought him to her doorstep like fate, made her pause. "All right," she said at last. "You're coming with me." Inside, the small cottage was warm, the scent of herbs and old wood rising from the walls. Lena helped the man out of his soaked jacket and settled him onto the couch. She brought a towel, a mug of hot tea, and silence, until he was ready to speak. "I'm Alex," he said finally. "Alex Markell. I'm a photographer. I was looking for someone." He reached into the wallet, hands shaking, and pulled out an old, worn photograph. He offered it to her. "She's the reason I came here." Lena took the picture. Her heart stopped. It was her mother. Younger, smiling, standing in the sunlight with her hair caught in a breeze. The same face that used to kiss her good night. The same woman who had died 15 years ago. Lena's voice dropped to a whisper. "Where did you get this?" Alex looked at her, surprised by her reaction. "It was in my father's things. He passed away last year. He never told me much, just that she was the one who got away. I've been following leads, trying to find out who she was." Lena stared at the photograph again, questions rising like a flood inside her. This doesn't make sense. My mother never mentioned anyone named Markell. She never even talked about her past." Thunder cracked again outside, but inside, a deeper storm had just begun. Lena didn't sleep that night. She sat in the armchair across from Alex, watching the fire crackle and listening to the rain hammer against the roof like it was trying to get in. The photograph lay between them on the coffee table, as if it were a fragile relic from a world neither of them fully understood. Her mother, Elena, had died when Lena was 13. A car accident. No one had spoken much about her past, not even her aunt, who raised Lena afterward. There were no old friends visiting, no childhood stories, no family photos beyond a few worn albums that started around Lena's birth and went no further back. Her mother's life before Lena was a closed book, until now. "She used another name," Alex said, rubbing his temple. "I've been chasing a ghost for months, trying to find the woman in that picture. I tracked her from a postcard in Paris, then a letter addressed to someone named Helen Zorin. That led me here." "Helen Zorin?" Lena repeated. "That's impossible." My mother's name was Elena Novak. I know what I've found, Alex replied gently but firmly. She changed her name. I don't know why, but that's her. Lena looked again at the photo. The woman in it was laughing, her eyes alive, caught mid-spin in what looked like a summer field. It was her mother, yes, but younger, freer, different. Why was your father looking for her? Alex leaned back against the couch. His clothes were dry now, and his cut had stopped bleeding, but his face still carried the fatigue of the storm, and something older. My dad kept that photo in his wallet for as long as I can remember. He never told me who she was. When he died, I found it in a hidden envelope with a note. She's the one. Find her if you can. That's all it said. Did he love her? Alex nodded slowly. I think she was his first love, or maybe his only real one. Lena felt like the floor was tilting beneath her. My mother never talked about any of this. She didn't date. She didn't keep photos or old letters. She told me my father was a mistake, someone who left before I was born. She said she didn't want to talk about the past. She was protecting something, Alex said, or someone. They sat in silence for a while. The fire dimmed. Outside, the storm began to slow, tapering off into a steady drizzle. But inside, the questions only grew. The next morning, Lena led Alex to the attic. It smelled like cedar and dust, and the wooden beams creaked with every step. Cardboard boxes were stacked in uneven towers, some labeled, some not. She hadn't been up here in years. Not since her aunt passed, and she'd inherited the house. They began digging, old clothes, toys. A few photo albums that ended with Lena as a toddler. Books in different languages. Nothing unusual, until Alex pulled out a heavy wooden chest with rusted hinges. This one's locked, he said. Lena hesitated, then opened a nearby drawer and found a small brass key. She turned it. The lock clicked. Inside, wrapped in yellowed newspaper, was a leather-bound diary. Lena picked it up with trembling fingers. She recognized the handwriting immediately. It was her mother's. The pages crackled as she opened the cover. The first entry was dated 1986, well before Lena was born. I met him today. Mikhail Markel. He's unlike anyone I've ever known. Lena looked up. Mikhail, that was your father's name? Alex swallowed. Yes. They sat down, the chest between them as Lena read aloud. The entries painted a vivid picture of a young woman caught between worlds. Elena Zorin, a student from Eastern Europe studying photography in Berlin. She met Mikhail, a visiting architecture intern from the States. Their love was instant, intense, secret. His family wouldn't approve, one entry read. They want him to marry someone from their circle, but we keep meeting anyway, in alleys, on rooftops, under the stars. He says I make him forget everything else. But things turned dark quickly. His father found out, sent men to follow me. They threatened me, said I was ruining his future, that I was after money. I'm scared, but Mikhail says he'll protect me. Another entry, weeks later. He's gone. They sent him back to the U.S. Overnight. No warning. I don't know where he is. I don't even know if he knows. Lena's voice broke. The next entry came months later. I'm pregnant. I have no one. I have to disappear. I will change my name. I will build a life for my child, even if it means destroying mine. Alex covered his mouth with his hand. She was pregnant, and he didn't know. Lena's breath came shallow. She was writing about me. They read on. The diary went quiet for a few years, likely the early days of raising a baby. Then it resumed with quieter reflections, still tinged with sorrow. Lena is everything to me. I gave up everything for her. Sometimes I think about reaching out to Mikhail, but I don't even know if he remembers me. Or wants to remember. Maybe it's better this way. The final entry was from 2010. I've been feeling tired lately. If anything happens to me, I hope Lena finds this someday. I hope she forgives me. Lena closed the diary, her hands trembling. She never meant to keep it from me. She just didn't know how to explain. Alex didn't speak for a while. Finally, he said, "My father never stopped loving her. Maybe that's why he never married again. He always said some stories don't end. They just wait." Lena's eyes filled with tears. They didn't just love each other. They were torn apart. And our lives, Alex added quietly, are the pieces left behind. Later that day, they drove to the old farmhouse at the edge of town, the one where Lena had lived until she was 7, before her mother abruptly sold it and moved to the city. It had always been a mystery to Lena why they'd left so suddenly. The house was abandoned now, but the door creaked open with a nudge. Dust motes floated in the sunlight as they stepped inside. The floorboards groaned under their feet. Lena walked through the rooms slowly, memories flickering like old film reels, her mother brushing her hair in the kitchen, laughter echoing from the hallway, the sound of lullabies sung in a soft foreign tongue. In her mother's old bedroom, they found it, a loose floorboard under the closet. Inside the hollow space was a metal box filled with letters, all addressed in the same handwriting. To Elena Zorin, from Monsieur Markel. Alex opened the top one. His father's handwriting was careful, raw. "I've tried everything to find you. I don't even know if you'll ever read these, but I write because I need you to know. I never stopped. Not for a moment." Lena knelt beside him, picking up the rest. There were over 20 letters, all written over years. Some had never been mailed. Others were returned, unopened. "He kept writing to her," Alex whispered. "All this time." Tears ran silently down Lena's cheeks, and she kept all of them. That evening, back at the cottage, the fire burned low again. They sat together, surrounded by the past, letters, photographs, diary pages. "We come from people who were kept apart," Lena said quietly, "by fear, by pride, by cruelty." Alex nodded. "But maybe we don't have to be." Lena met his gaze. "We could fix what they couldn't." Alex reached into his jacket and pulled out the original photograph again, the one of her mother in the field. "You know what's strange?" he said. "This photo, it wasn't taken by my father." Lena blinked. "What do you mean?" Alex smiled faintly. "I took it years ago on a college trip to Prague. I never knew who she was. I just saw a woman standing in the field, looking like she belonged to another time. I asked if I could take her picture. She said yes." Lena's mouth fell open. "You met her?" "I didn't recognize her until now. She never told me her name. But when I found this photo in my dad's wallet later, I thought maybe he took it himself. I never questioned it, until now." Lena stared at the photo, at the strange threads of time and chance woven between them. "She knew," Lena whispered. "She knew who you were." Alex nodded. "I think she did." Outside, the storm had passed. The air was quiet, but inside, something new was blooming, something between truth and healing. Between two lives long divided now, finally, beginning to converge. Weeks passed. The storm that brought Alex into Lena's life had long cleared, but its echoes remained, now in the form of unraveling truths, court filings, and buried histories rising like bones from shallow graves. The photo Alex once carried in his wallet had become a key that opened not just emotional wounds, but real doors. With the letters, the diary, and the witness of the past, Lena and Alex began something they never expected, a joint fight for justice. Lena's mother, Elena, had lost everything when Mikhail's family, wealthy, connected, and ruthless, silenced their relationship and blacklisted her. The letters revealed that Mikhail's father, Victor Markel, had used his political influence to seize Elena's inherited property and block any financial support. She was forced into hiding. Her silence wasn't cowardice, it was survival. But now the truth had a voice. Alex and Lena brought the evidence to a lawyer, then to a journalist, and then to court. The case stirred local interest, then national. Alex used his photography not just to document, but to expose. His photo essay, "The Woman in the Field," juxtaposed the poetic beauty of Elena's younger self with the stark documents of betrayal and injustice. Letters, deeds, a copy of Elena's forged eviction notice, a haunting photo of the abandoned farmhouse with Lena standing at its threshold, holding her mother's diary. The media called it a legacy reclaimed. The court battle wasn't easy. The remaining Markel family tried to bury it, deny it, rewrite it. But Alex refused to be silent. Lena stood by him, unshaken. Together, they weren't just children of a broken past. They were its reckoning. And in the end, they won. The judge ruled that the land had been taken illegally and granted Lena ownership. She didn't sell it. She transformed it. The grand opening of the cultural center was held exactly 1 year after that rainy night. Lena stood at the gates of the restored farmhouse, its white facade glowing in the afternoon sun, surrounded by art, music, and history. Inside were exhibits from Elena's life, her photos, her diary, a reading room, and a small gallery featuring Alex's tribute. The final room held a wall titled "Interrupted Stories." It displayed photos of people who had suffered similar injustices, women erased from history, children separated by silence, stories broken by power. But next to each photo, a plaque described how the truth was reclaimed. As guests wandered the halls, Lena felt something shift in her chest, not just pride, peace. Later, as the sun began to dip and the last of the visitors left, Alex found her standing in her mother's old bedroom, now a memory space painted in soft colors, sunlight pouring through the curtains. He leaned in the doorway, watching her. "You built something she would have been proud of." "She gave up everything for me," Lena whispered. "I had to give something back." He walked in, stood beside her. "There's one more piece of the story." She turned, curious. Alex reached into his coat pocket and handed her an envelope. "I found this last week. It was in a box of my dad's things I hadn't opened yet." Inside was a photograph. Lena gasped. It was her mother again, but older, holding a small boy on her lap. The boy was Alex. "That's not possible," she said, her voice barely audible. "How?" "I don't know how they met again," he said softly. "Maybe it was brief. Maybe my father didn't want to explain it to me. But that's me. I must have been 2 or 3. She's smiling. She looks at peace." Lena ran her fingers over the image. Her mother had known him, held him, loved him, even if only for a moment. Their lives had been linked long before they ever met on that stormy night. Fate, it seemed, had been threading their paths together for decades. She looked up at him. "So what now?" Alex smiled. "We start writing our own chapter." On the mantel in Lena's living room sat 3 frames. One held the original photograph of her mother in the field. The second held the newly discovered photo of Elena holding young Alex. And the third, a recent one, showed Lena and Alex standing hand in hand in front of the cultural center, its doors wide open behind them. The past had tried to bury them, but together they built something stronger, something no storm could wash away.